Oh yeah, Cashapp. Oh yeah, Cashapp.
Couple things, people. Couple things. I wanted to go live today. One second. I want to talk about the mistakes I've made in my career. If you guys would indulge me. Probably one of the most valuable things you can give to another is your mistakes. And to admit them up front and get ahead of it. So, do a little audio check real quick. So, 6 of you watching currently. As you come in, if you don't mind hitting the like button, I'm going to be a little bit more proactive, a little bit more humble in asking for things, which is something against my nature to ask for likes or comments or subscribes, for super chats. I'm in a new headspace, more or less. If I'm gonna do YouTube, you have to do the YouTube. But anyway, it's not a long list of things I want to talk about, but I feel like these things are important in regards to longevity, success over amount of time. Some things are dynamic in nature that you won't constantly be doing, but when they are necessary, you must do them. And of course, this list hopefully can be valuable to you in that way. If you have any questions, comments, drop them in the chat. Live Q&A. You feel me? Live Q&A. So hopefully we can get some value to you. Number one, and this is in no particular order, but I did list them in the order that they came to me, and usually the ones that are at the front are the most important. Fitness. Fitness is the number one thing that I've dropped the ball on. Now, I can hear you asking the question, but you have guns, sir. Sir, you are different. You understand, and that's true because I am different. However, the military doesn't prioritize size. They don't prioritize strength. The military cares about endurance. They care about endurance. In some ways, they care about agility. In some ways, they care about your cardiovascular health. And in some categories, you might throw me into, I don't fit the bill. My weight has increased from what I've probably hovered around 200 pounds for most of my career. I now sit around 240, 250. 240, 250. When it comes to running a mile and a half, it's doable. I've been doing it, but it's uncomfortable. It's not ideal to be running a mile and a half at 250 pounds, solid or not, muscle or not. No, the military is not. This is not a bodybuilding competition. It's not a power strength, a strength building competition. This is the military. So that they care about your ability to run. And again, I'm in the Air Force, so it's not like I'm doing this every single day. I'm not running for my life. I'm not, there's not others depending on me to be strong, fit, fast, all those things. But it's the environment I'm currently in. Fitness affects more than just your PT test. It affects your everyday life. Your mind is conditioned to respond to the health of the body. Now, I watched multiple lectures on the topic of, can you be fat and fit at the same time? Can your outside have, different ramifications than the inside of your body as it relates to a fatty liver? You might have a perfect liver in terms of health, but on the outside, you still may not be able to walk upstairs without, gasping for air. So the ultimate goal, obviously, is to connect the two and to have them work together. My mental health, I can see a direct correlation to how, as my mental health seems to go, and of course it tends to be a chicken and egg issue. Which comes first? Is it your mental health that goes first and then your body reflects that? Or is it your body goes first and your mental health reflects that? Who knows? Obviously, they work together. And they should go hand in hand in terms of, if I fix one, I'm trying to fix the other as well. But as you grow in your growth of one area, the other one should reflect that as well, meaning you should be trying to put effort in both areas. As I pursue a therapist or pursue counseling or read books, gather more information, I should also be in the gym. I should also be running. I should also be working on my physical side of my health. So fitness is number one in terms of things I regret. I wish I can get my 200 pounds back overnight. I'm not particularly uncomfortable at 250 until it's time to do something that requires endurance. Not strength, because I have the strength. I got the muscle. But it's the endurance that, it's easier. And you see this in athletes as they go over the course of their career. The people that tend to play the longest are people that are not gaining weight over time, but losing weight over time, or maintaining their weight, which is ideally what you want to do. Increasing, you obviously go through, body composition as far as you're gaining muscle, losing fat. Those are the things that, you should be prioritizing. There's a diet for everyone and their mama as far as how you want to go about doing that. But longevity is the goal. I wish I could get back to 200 pounds. It's just something that, and you see this again, and the title of the video, I was going to title this, How to Avoid the Staff Sergeant Slump. But that's basically where you see that the most the trends in that direction, as far as there's no issues at A1C, no issues at airmen, there's no issues at senior airmen, but it seems to be, a trend where as soon as you hit staff and they dump all these responsibilities on your plate and say, here's some extra stuff to do, it seems to be put on the back burner in terms of, do I prioritize my diet? I'm working later hours, I'm working more hours, different hours. There's more demanded from me throughout my day, and so instead of going to lunch, I'm going to sit here and eat the candy that's available, eat the donuts that's available, and those things add up. Making emotional decisions concerning food, having that emotional connection to where I'm going to food for comfort. Notice how no one eats fat and no one eats protein for comfort. It's always those dusty carbs over there that we just kind of, I'll take more of those. Of course I got room for dessert. Of course. It's those trends. And so around staff sergeant, I saw this coming, which is the thing that pisses me off the most. I have so many videos on predicting around staff sergeant, maybe mid senior airman tour, somewhere at the beginning of your staff sergeant, position. There tends to be a slump there, and my goal was to avoid it. And I ran right into it. Some say that, when you're driving, some of the skills that you should, pursue is pointing your head in the right direction. And another correlation will be skiing. They say you point your head in the direction you want to go in, because whatever you're looking at is where your body's going to go. Is where your body's going to take you. So, I can kind of see how if I was so fixated on, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. And I'm clearly there now. I'm not in every area, but in the areas that I cared most about, the ball was dropped. So that's number one. Fitness. If you can find a way, no matter what your rank is, to keep your fitness, your health, your body health. You want to get one. Your body health, mental health, and I'll get to mental health more in depth later in the list, but you see the correlation between the two. Prioritizing those two things. Keep your body healthy. Keep your body fit. Your body strong. Flexible. And then, of course, number two is not something I'm going to get too deep into, but as far as lifestyle eating, I was going to put diet. I'm like, no, because people are going to see diet and say, I'm going to have a paper diet where I eat as much paper as I want. I just can't throw it up. It's too much. You understand? So, lifestyle eating, meaning for the majority of the time, you should be eating healthy. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean to eat healthy? Because it seems as if you type it into YouTube, healthy eating, you're going to get fad diets. And whichever one is preferable, it's just going to be so many, try this diet. All right, dry fasting, regular fasting, intermittent fasting, OMAD, 1 meal a day, keto, carnivore, vegetarian, vegan, Atkins, paleo. It's 1,001 ways to do the same thing. Ultimately, there's fundamental differences between all of them. But the number one variable you're probably going to see throughout all the diets, with the exception of, I'll say probably the vegan diet, is the carb intake. But one thing I will add to that is that it's not so much the carbs, it's the fructose, it's the sugar. Sugar and fructose are going to be the common enemy when it comes to your body health in general. I'm not going to get too far into that. Watch my videos on carnivore and all those things. Go watch lectures on. I'm not going to. This is not the channel, but look at sugar. Sugar is the enemy. Anyway, I'll get off that tangent. And of course, we're going to get to the questions. So I see a couple of you in the chat. We'll get to that in a second. Mental health proactivity. Mental health proactivity is an issue. It's an issue, especially in the military, where it's almost as if, and the rules are not clear on this, but if you ask any mental health technician or officer, doctor, if you will, you're going to hear various answers of, oh no, you can come to mental health and it won't affect your career. You can come talk to us and it will not affect your career. You're not automatically going to be put on profile. You're not automatically going to be put in the nut house or put out the military. And those things may or may not be true. But the one thing I've been experiencing, and again, mind you, I'm in the process of dealing with mental health, both previously and now again, is that you kind of see the ripple effects. It's not so much an opaque experience. It's not immediate. It's not abrupt. But it's ever so slight that you notice, so they say it won't affect my career, but now this happened. I went up to cross train and they said, "Oh well, I see in your mental health that you have a 2 where you should have a 1." I'm like, "What does that mean?" They said, "Well, you just need to be clear about mental health." I'm like, "I thought I was cleared. You guys don't communicate between bases?" "Oh, you don't. So I need to email my last base to tell them to tell this base what happened." But you guys, I had a record in an electronic system that I don't know about. There's not notes in there. There's no communication between bases in regards to this patient was dealing with this, and now he's dealing with this, and now he's in this place. You start seeing those little ripples of how they potentially could affect something that you might want later on, or an option that you might want to choose later. Those things matter. Now, I'm not saying that to tell you don't go to mental health, because I'm still dealing with them. I go to them now for help because I'm in that place where I've realized I cannot deal with my issues, my current issues, by myself. I'm not equipped. I'm not educated to the point where I can diagnose myself. It's like grading my own homework. I'm not going to do that. I could do that. I could easily look at myself objectively and say, all right, you have anxiety. Like, I know that much. I know that much. And of course, I go through my own research and say, all right, this might be going on with me. I see how this is, this variable might apply to myself. And you go on from there. But it's still grading your own homework. You need someone outside of yourself to say, all right, you say you're strong in this area, but I don't think you are. You say you're weak in this area. I don't think you are. You need somebody outside of yourself to grade your homework. So I'm in that place. So I'm not here to tell anyone not to go to mental health in the military. But there are things you should know about, and you really can't know about them, especially when it regards to flying status or being in certain career fields like security forces. You might be holding a gun. Do they want you holding a gun in that mental headspace? I work at a desk with a keyboard and mouse. They don't really care. But those things matter. Your mental health proactivity is not something that you can just walk into a mental health facility at your given med group on an Air Force base and say, I'm having these thoughts about these various ideas, and I want to be proactive about that. It's unfortunately not how it works in the military. You're going to send off bells and red flags and tripwires throughout your chain of command, and depending on the words you use. Words matter greatly. Words matter greatly when it comes to certain agencies. You can't just go in there and say, well, I had this thought. And I'm like, you thought about that? And I'm guessing you guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't hear me in the spirit, you feel me. There's certain words you just can't use in the military environment. It's unfortunate. They have great gravity attached to them, where if you say a certain word, people start moving and doing paperwork and start emailing and start having meetings and discussions. There's certain words you can't use. Even if you think about it, even if it's just a fleeting thought, there's certain words you have to be careful about using in certain environments, and you have to go about getting help without setting off tripwires in order to retain certain things. Now, again, I'm the last person here to tell you, don't go ask for help. I'm saying use wisdom. Some people are going through certain things, and your only way out is to ask for help and to use whatever words you have available to you. So, of course, communicate. But, of course, there's still wisdom. There's always a better way. There's always a better option, a different option. So, yeah, be proactive with your mental health. There are plenty of resources that don't involve going to mental health in the military. A chaplain, religious affairs. There's technicians that will sit there and they're trained to listen, trained to ask questions. There's some personalities that are not good at it. There's some people that are in that career field and they're not good at what they're supposed to be doing. Go try. Religious affairs, go to a chapel and say, I need to talk to someone. Go talk to a chaplain. Chaplains are one of the safest spaces, and I use that term and that phrase ever so lightly, you understand? But it's a space where you can vent. And a chaplain cannot go talk to anyone else. That's one area that I've used, probably overused, in terms of going to talk to a chaplain, venting, getting all out, boohooing, crying, and snotting, and saying, I don't like this event in my life, whatever. And then you walk out, you feel better. That's one option. You have Military One Source. Just got off the phone with them the other day, and it was a weird proceedings where they told me they couldn't help me because of my situation, which is whatever. But try. Again, that's the point, is to get to know. Work, try, until you get a definite no. You get a definite answer. Military One Source, the MFLAC, most units probably have their own representative from MFLAC embedded in their unit. If not, you can go to Airman Family Readiness Center and talk to someone there as well. Talking to your leadership, talking to your supervisor, talking to your shirt. You have options. Just be aware of who you can talk to, what you're allowed to say, what you can't say. You can say just about anything, but just know certain words, certain phrases, certain, venting proceedings, they have consequences, and that you should be aware of that. You should be aware of that. So be proactive with your be proactive with your mental health. No one else cares. Trust me. I have a couple of videos on that very phrase. No one cares about you. I say that lightly. I say that very lightly, and I constantly have to explain what I mean, because people take that literally. Now, it is a literal phrase. No one cares about you, but you have to read into my intent, which that's what most people kind of meant. So I'll briefly explain what I mean by that. People don't have to care about you. It's not organic to care about someone else. It's a choice to care about someone else. It's a decision to care about someone else. Why? It requires kindness, empathy. The proof of caring is in discernment. By knowing someone and their tendencies, you can know when something is wrong. So again, it's not something that most people wake up and say, I care about this person, I want to do this for this other person. It's a choice when that happens. That's why relationships are so valuable, because you can see every day the kindness that they show towards you. And of course, you show it back towards them. It's a decision. So people care. People care. Some people are in positions where it's their job to care. And there are limits to that. If you tell someone I'm thirsty and they say me too, their caring was limited to their words. It's not a judgment. It's reality. If you say I'm thirsty and someone says I'll be right back and they go get a bottle of water and they bring it back to you, their caring was in their actions. Wisdom. The ability to discern and to predict and to objectively see two different things and say, I know why these two things are different. And you compare them, contrast them, and you see reality as it takes place. So your mental health is your own. You only get one set, as far as I know. Once you lose your mind, that's pretty much it. Once you lose brain cells, other than methods of autophagy and fasting and God knows whatever hippie methods that exist out there, you only get one mind. Your sanity matters. And I'm finally in a place where I don't care about extra stuff that just, do I want to accumulate things and electronics and cars and stuff and let me get 2 more of those things and copies and extra watches and extra pairs of shoes and 10 pairs of clothes. I don't care anymore. I don't care about being rich. I care about peace. And that's something you'll start caring about when you stop having it. When you wake up and you feel feelings associated with dread, you can be as disciplined as you want to. You can be as disciplined and consistent as you want to. Things I used to preach about early in this channel. I used to constantly preach about being consistent and be on time and practice being, all these principles I was hearing and learning, and they're all true, but there are limits. Because peace, I'm telling you, when you don't have peace and you wake up and you go to places where you literally, your body's reacting physically, and you have knots in your stomach and you're feeling the feelings associated with dread and anxiety, and it might turn into depression. Those things are real. They're real. I'm telling you. So it's something that even right now, I can have anxiety and still be clear up here. But without the body being intact, without your body being at a place of homeostasis, you're not at peace. You're constantly on edge. You're constantly in a state of panic. Cortisol is too high. Your stress hormone is telling you fight or flight. And you're just in a place of restlessness. You have a tick. Your hands constantly tapping something. You guys have seen countless videos on this channel of me tapping pins. It's not always anxiety, but it's a restlessness that, it's not normal. It's not normal. I'm not here to diagnose anyone. That's not my job. That's not why I'm here. But again, be proactive, because the mind is a slippery slope. They can go downhill so quickly. You can be motivated overnight. It's constantly dynamic in nature, where the right song can get you on 10 and you're happy and you're feeling good. And then another song comes on, a different genre, R&B or something, and now you're in your feelings. And Drake come on, whispering sweet nothings in your ear. They left you because this is it. And you're just constantly reacting to your environment. I asked the therapist, and brief tangent, I'm not in a hurry, but brief tangent, I was asking my therapist about stoicism. And I asked him, do you think stoicism is a healthy response to trauma? Family member dies, family member sick, a lost loved one, a pet, tragedy strikes randomly. You can't control it. It's always a surprise. Is stoicism the proper response to trauma? I can hear the dusty responses of, it depends. We're not going to say that. You understand? We will not say it depends. His answer was no. And he did admit that it was his opinion that it's not a healthy response. I would agree in part, which is almost like saying it depends, except we're not using those words. I would agree in part. When someone close to you or someone distant dies, there should be a level of respect for what death is and what it's not. Death gives life value. It tells us that life one day is going to end, no exceptions. That if you don't appreciate and value and maximize what you currently have, one day it's going to be taken away from you. And most people don't value something until it's gone, until it's been ripped from their grip. And all of a sudden now we have to run and appreciate. I don't see the issue, and it's something that is running rampant on the internet currently, amongst men and women, of the issue of crying. Is it okay for a man to cry? Period. Question mark. Why is it? And again, let me say this first, because I can hear the thoughts of the people, of the populace in the comments. I'm not the person that glorifies crying. Please hear the difference. When it's necessary for your tear ducts to eject liquids from your person, allow it to do so. I'm the person that watches like welcome home videos, like people that were deployed and they come home to the children and they surprise them. That stuff just it triggers your tear ducts. You don't have a choice. If you see an animal get hit, it triggers your tear ducts. It triggers hormones. It's a normal proceedings for the human body to eject liquids from its person. Like, people will fight it and just, I'm not gonna cry. It's normal. It's like holding in urine. Your endocrine system just loses its, like, bro, let me out. Let me out. One thing I've noticed from my personal, crying and what have you, is that you feel amazing after. After you snot and boo-hoo and you just say your truth for that quick little 3 minutes, you can go back to being, you just go back to it. You can go back to it immediately. But sometimes your body just needs that 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes to do what I was designed to do. It's not a big deal amongst men or women. Now, again, back to what I mentioned earlier, these videos of like Tyrese and like just, let me get my TikTok up first. All right, I'm about to cry now. Let me get right. And then like crying on cue for the camera. That stuff just, it drives me up the wall, like to high hell. Like, nobody cares that you crying, bro. Like, you got to grab your camera and go live and then, no. But the act of crying, it's in and of itself, it's not wrong. It's natural. It's normal. It's necessary. And some of us haven't cried in years. Last time I cried, this week, Monday. I'm telling you, the stress has to go somewhere. It can only go to the weights so much before you just, all right. It's kind of like the liver. It tries to get rid of sugar. And at some point you reach type 2 diabetes where it's just shoving sugar wherever it can put it. Your glycogen's full. There's no nutritional value of fructose. We can't do anything with it. It's like poison. It's like there's no nutritional value of alcohol. You're not benefiting from this biologically. We're just going to shove the sugar into your foot. There's nowhere to put it. The stress that you experience throughout your life, whether it's eustress, being a beneficial stress or distress, whereas it's hurting your person, it still has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. When I get excited, I tend to think, I still need to express it. The healthy version of smiling. I have to practice sometimes. I have to listen to comedy sometimes to actually just smile. Because a lot of us will build up just energy. We'll just build up energy. That's all anger is. That's all emotion is energy. It's energy. And we'll build it up and we'll store it like it's body fat. I'm like, use it. Use it. Go to the basketball court and be aggressive. Go play football. Go play flag football. Go play volleyball and be aggressive. Go swim and be aggressive. That's what I would say the philosophical purpose of sports is to be aggressive, is to be emotional. Where it's allowed. Boxing, MMA, wrestling. Go get the energy out. A lot of our children, and I'm not a parent, so I'm not here to preach to anyone, but I would have a theory that your children are losing their minds because they're trying to put energy into a controller. You can't be aggressive with it. How? You can only push the button so hard before you break it. We need outlets. We as humans, we need outlets. And of course, the internet's not a bad thing. I just recently removed myself from all social media except for YouTube. It was too much. You can take in all this stress from around the world, all this energy, all this depressive thoughts and information and sadness. You take in all this information from literally around the world, and you have nowhere to put it. We're sitting there laying in bed learning about genocide. That's not healthy. That's the first thing I realized. I'm like, bro, this internet gotta go. I love the internet. I love YouTube. I love consuming information. But at some point you realize I can only output so much of the stress that I'm receiving. I can only do so many squats and pull-ups. My body gotta recover. Which leads me to my next point. Prioritizing sleep. And of course you're gonna notice a common theme amongst all these items is prioritization. Prioritization. One thing that matters as an A1C is not going to matter at Staff Sergeant. The quicker you realize that, the quicker you'll have order continuously throughout your life. You guys probably noticed I don't get up at 2:30 a.m. anymore. I can't. At 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. How long have I been in the military? Goodness, I joined at 23. I can't do it anymore. My alarms still go off at 3. I still got alarms set. But I don't pop up the same way I used to do when I was at Andrews in the dorms, just grabbing black coffee, just not even all the way up, and just, I can't do it. Caffeine, it just ramps up my anxiety now. I have to cut it back. Prioritizing sleep. I've been told this countless times, especially when I started getting up at 2:30 a.m., 2017, October. You can only sustain it for so long before your body literally starts breaking down. You don't make gains in the gym. You make them while you're sleeping, when you're recovering. You're tearing down muscle in the gym. You're rebuilding it while you sleep. Your mind is resting. Your body is resting while you sleep. Going 3, 4, 5 years on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, I'm starting to see the effects of it in my present. There's a direct correlation. I wouldn't say it's purely causation, but you see the correlation as far as maybe closer to 6 or 7 hours of sleep would have benefited me over the last couple of years. Maybe I wouldn't have gained as much weight. You know, you start seeing how all the other different pieces connect. Because of, if you're not resting, you're going to be irritable, which means your relationships are going to suffer. Your performance is going to suffer. You know, your energy is going to suffer, which means you won't want to go to the gym and you'll want the cookies and cakes and what have you, waffles and McDonald's and whatever's available. Convenience will be your main factor that you make decisions based off of instead of discipline. I'm that person. That's why I'm here right now. I'm that person who prioritized performance. And, you know, I have more time in the day if I slept less. But then you realize by sleeping less, my performance goes down in every area. You get one body. I'm telling you from experience that it doesn't work. You know, there's all these motivational speakers that that impressed upon me. David Goggins to Eric Thomas to Gary Vee to all these, Grant Cardone, all these voices that are in a place that I want to be in one day. And you say, well, to be like them, I got to do what they're doing. And you realize, well, no. A lot of them speak from the benefit of hindsight, where they say, well, I know I did this one thing, but they don't explain it in full. Meaning, I slept in this one holiday, and then I did this, which launched this in my career. We don't have the full story. When you have internet as your resource for a lot of, you have books or what have you, you're getting a well-developed, edited version of events. And a lot of us take that literally and say, well, Eric Thomas gets up at 3 a.m., so I'm going to start doing it. Well, Eric Thomas is not in the military. He speaks for a living. Eric Thomas speaks for a living. I don't speak for a living. I think and sit at a desk and follow just orders and run and do pull-ups and sit-ups, and he doesn't have PT. He's self-disciplined. He's self-regulated, which means if he doesn't want to do something that day, he doesn't have to do it. He's not in the military. So it's very careful. It's very important that we monitor the influencers in our life and saying, all right, if they tell us to do something and say, no, you don't need no sleep. Entrepreneurs, you're a CEO. You don't need no sleep. And we take all that stuff literally, and then we go run with it. And we say, well, if they're not sleeping and they working up till midnight, and they're working till midnight because they don't have a job to be at in the morning. They can get up at 9. The term 9 to 5, no one in the military works 9 to 5. No one. There might be one point where you might go up in rank and plateau at maybe a 9 to 4:30. That's maybe around senior superintendent. But in a lot of cases, they work longer than everyone else. So it's very, very important that you prioritize properly based on longevity. LeBron. As much as I love Kobe, you have to appreciate the longevity of LeBron. I'm a Kobe fan. Kobe is my GOAT. I don't care who you got in your top 5. You hear me? Kobe. It's Kobe. But I appreciate LeBron's longevity, even though he's injured right now. My Lakers spared. We still got rest. We got Melo. You hear me? But you can appreciate someone who's able to do. They play at a high level, perform at a high level, consistently and continuously. It's not normal. It's not normal. So I said a lot. Prioritizing sleep. Prioritizing relationships. Prioritizing relationships. Who was I speaking to? I had a one-on-one call. Matter of fact, Wooten, if you see that, I'm gonna respond to your text. I saw your text the other day. I had a one-on-one call with someone. By the way, if you want a one-on-one call, if you want to talk, need a conversation, need to talk some things out, hit me up in the description. All my links are down there. If you want to donate to the channel, hit me up. Super chats, all those things. Appreciate the support. Yeah, so I had a one-on-one consult with a gentleman. He's in San Antonio currently in the process of cross-training. He's going from a battlefield airman being reclassed into something else. He doesn't know what it is yet. But one of the pieces of advice I gave him, he asked me like what I would advise a young airman, someone who's fresh into the career, only been in for maybe 6 months. What advice would I give someone who's fresh into the military? 6 months in, everything's new, everything's eventful, everything's fun, and it's all new, it's all fresh, new car smell. Prioritize relationships. Prioritizing relationships is the most valuable thing I currently have in my life right now. Outside of my mind, which, of course, I just contradict myself. I love my mind. I love my time. I love the resources I have, more or less. But having the right people in your life. Not a lot of people, but the right people, which means you have to go in pursuit of these type of people. My biggest issue with introverts is that they think another introvert's going to come to their room, knock on their door, and introduce themselves. They're introverts like you. Where do introverts find other introverts? Online. In the library. In a corner of a coffee shop. In these type of situations, we're all looking for quality people. You see all the memes of be careful who you surround yourself with. Guard your energy. If they're not matching your energy, if they on some BS, get rid of them. It's constantly like this shedding of humans. Like, all right, I'm too good for this group of people because I'm this way. And I'm like, well, somebody feels the same about you, but you will call that discrimination if you try to call them out on it. Like, why y'all just... It's a constant cycle. When I say prioritize relationships, I'm saying prioritize people. Our purpose on this planet as people is to another person or a group of persons. You're solving problems. It's why any of you are on this live stream right now. There's some type of problem that I'm solving in your life, even minutely. That's the point. Relationships. There's a group of people, there's a demographic, and it seems to be growing, of people that seem to think that they don't need anyone else for anything. And the sad part about that of that thought process is that one day you're going to hit a wall. You're going to smack right into it. Who knows when that will happen? But it happens to everyone, including myself. I was that person who, in my infinite wisdom and my thought and my brain, I said, you know what? I can do it. I can do everything by myself. All of it. I don't need help. Basic training. I was the person trying to make a bed by myself in 10 seconds. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I'm the one trying to sweep 100 square foot room by myself. I don't need no help. You know, if you ask for help, it'll go quicker, more efficiently, more effectively. I don't need no help. I'm trying to clean an entire bathroom with like 10 stalls, 10 showers by myself. You're going to burn out so quickly. And that's one, I guess, valuable piece of the training environment, especially as it relates to basic training, is that you'll be in an environment where you're required to work with other people. And the people that try to work by them, just stay off by themselves, they self-destruct. They self-destruct. You're going to need relationships. Starting from the first problem you have in basic training, make your bed, dust downs. I need to go somewhere across the campus. Well, you need a wingman. Better not be caught by yourself. You can't do that by yourself. You can't even walk by yourself. You're going to need somebody. You're going to need help at some point. Being good, being effective at being able to ask for help, being humble enough to ask for help is the number one piece of advice I can give someone in the military. Be able to ask for help. Pursue relationships. Pursue networking. Pursue people that are different than you. You don't need to be the same in every single category. You need one piece of similarity. There's just one topic, one area of hobbies or what have you, one area of interest that you connect on. You can grow from there. Most people look for someone who's identical to themselves. First of all, you'll be lucky to find it. And then when you find it, you probably won't like it. So, pursue relationships. This ties into another one piece of my notes. Being liked versus being respected. I made a separate video on this, so I won't go too far into it. It's my argument that being liked has an edge, a slight lead on being respected. You know, when we go to war, we have respect for enemies. At least we should. Never underestimate your enemy. You run out there I got my box cutter and I'm gonna hand somebody an L, and then they meet you out there with that thing on them. And they say, "Come here, let me hand you this work." You underestimated them. That's how pride catches people lacking. They run out there, swear that they're everything, and they take a L. I've noticed in my career, my personal experience, that it's more valuable long term to be liked by someone than to be respected by someone. Now, of course, you can do both, but it requires, and I say this relatively, high levels of wisdom in action to notice when someone likes you versus someone respects you. Respect tends to be based on your competence, your ability, your knowledge. Your ability to solve a problem usually results in respect. Being liked tends to be based on similarities. Friendships are based on similarities. Mentorship is based on your goal. You get a mentor based on where you want to go. Typically, that person is always already there or has already been there. Your friendships, the people around you, it should be a healthy mix of friends, mentors, and people that are just simply different. So, I've been talking for a while, and I promise I'm gonna get to these questions. I have nowhere to be today. But yeah, I would prioritize being liked, which leads me to my next point: saying yes more often. Say yes more often. No flows off the tongue for most people. If I see somebody walking towards me, I'm prepared, mentally and physically, to say no. I'm good. Appreciate you. Pass. Next time I'll pray about it. I'll let you know. My people will call your people. Email me. Write on a sticky note. Give me your number. I'll call you. Most people are prepared to say no. You hear this a lot from women walking through the mall and they see the dusty approaching from the corner, peripheral, and this person about to say something. This person about to ask me for my number. This person about to say, how you doing? And they're prepared mentally. That they're already in the mindset of, I'm good. Pass. No thanks. Appreciate you. Nah. Walking into Walmart, you see the Girl Scout cookies. No. The homeless guy. Thank you. No. I'm good. Well, the issue with that is that in that huge mix of people that probably should get the appropriate no, there's going to be one or two opportunities in there that you can only access by saying yes. And not saying yes because you wanted to, but saying yes because it was available. Most people have their minds so set on, I just want to be left alone, that the one thing they want and desire is hidden in the crowd of no's. And that you have to discern properly a given moment and say, no. Yes. No. The yes is always hidden in the crowd. The one person you should talk to is in the same room as you almost continuously. Your best friend is probably in the same unit as you, the same base, the same cafeteria, the same BX. Your ideal lover, your ideal relationship, it's probably in your town, on your block, in the same building, but you're so focused on, I'm going to walk from my door to the car, don't nobody talk to me, don't nobody ask me for nothing, leave me alone, I just want to be left alone. And that's well and good because I typically am that way most of the time as well. But I'm hyper aware of the fact that there's certain moments where you have to put what you want aside and say, what do I want more than what I currently have? Is it available in this moment? And then ask questions. Ask questions, because then you'll realize in that moment, by giving when you want something, you tend to get what you want. By giving on this channel, I get what I want in return. I get views, I get subscribers, I get money. It's just how it works. By giving freely. Say yes. Some of the opportunities we all want, it's hidden behind the door that you keep saying no to. Somebody's going to walk up and take it. A phrase that drives me off just to high hell, you understand? If it's for me, it's for me. No. That's not how the world works at all. If that job's for me, it's for me. That's not the case. It's not the case. You don't deserve anything. That's another word that it belongs on the list of don't ever use ever in your life. Deserve. Quick tangent. I'm not going to go too far into this because it deserves its own video. The word deserve, the only context that you can use the word deserve in is in the form of a question. There are no exceptions. There are no exceptions to that rule. The word deserve can only be used in the form of a question. Because what if they don't deserve it, but you say they do and they don't get it? Did the word deserve change definitions? The hardest thing to do is to define deserve, settle, all these relative terms that are just kind of floating and people use constantly. Notice how people never say they deserve the death penalty in relation to themselves. They'll constantly use it in relation to other people. They deserve to go to jail. They deserve to get hit. They deserve to lose. They deserve... We're just thrown around, but it doesn't make sense. Perfect example, NBA Finals. Last year, the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA Finals. Who didn't win? The Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns did not win the NBA Finals. Now, you can have people on both sides, people that are fans of the Suns, people that are fans of the Bucks, that say the Bucks deserve to win. And then you have the Suns fans saying the Suns deserve to win. Only one team won. So, how is that possible that both teams deserve to win, but one team won? Wouldn't that mean that the team that won deserved to win? Based on the definition of the word deserve? Now, if I change it and say Did the Bucks deserve to win? It's a question. And then it leads to a discussion. But the definition of deserve did not change, which is the whole point of using a word, is that you use it in the proper context as it's defined based on social convention. So when you ask the question, did the Suns deserve to win? The answer is no or yes. But the word deserve is properly defined in that context. Did the Lakers deserve to win? No. Yes. If you use the word deserve in the form of question, it's in context and it's properly defined. Any other form of usage for the word deserve is wrong. I deserve happiness. No, you don't. I deserve to be safe when I leave my house and go out into the world. No, you don't. Because what happens when you're not? What happens when you're not safe? Did the word deserve become... No. But no. You don't deserve anything. You deserve exactly what you will die with. Nothing. You earn, you pursue, you ask, you're grateful, you receive, but you don't deserve. You don't deserve. Now, let's say I was going to play devil's advocate and say, well, what do you deserve? And let's play it literally. Death. Death. Why? Because you're guaranteed to get it. I love this shit. You're guaranteed to get death. Therefore, you deserve death. Everything you do is either preventing death or speeding it up. But death is inevitable for all living organisms. You can't escape it. There are no exceptions. You get death, which means the absence of life. So that's just diving into that one word that just drives me. I don't know where I was going with all that. But now you all learn something. When I hear the word deserve and like, I deserve my man, I deserve my future wife, I deserve to be rich, I deserve happiness. Why don't you have it? If you deserved it, you'd be worthy of it, right? You contain what you deserve, right? It would be in your possession. You deserved it. Where is it? What happens when you never get it? What if you die without getting what you deserve? How is that possible? You spent your entire life deserving something, but you never got it? Then you didn't deserve it. Question mark. Anyway, I enjoyed that tangent. I've been holding on to that for a good minute. Oh, say yes. Say yes, people. Say yes. The things you want, you have to pursue. Yeah. Some things will be brought to you, but then that's a form of kindness, which means it was still a decision that someone had to make in order for you to get something. Nothing happens on its own. Relationships don't just manifest from thin air. If you just think about it in the law of attraction, law of vibration, and you just believe in the truths and the ground truths and the things just happen, it's not how it works. Most people die with nothing. If not everyone. I'll make it absolute. I'll make it absolute. Everyone dies with nothing. Everyone dies with nothing. Now, I'm thinking of exceptions as I sit here, so I'm not going to get too far into that. But you get the point. If you say yes, you don't guarantee you get something. You guarantee you get a chance to get something. Equal opportunity, not equal opportunity of outcome. You get an opportunity to interview. That's it. You're not guaranteed the job. You see everyone and their mama upset that they didn't get the job because they got an interview. That's all you were entitled to. No, let me walk that back, because the entitlement just drives me up the wall, so we don't want to put that out there. The only thing you were privileged to get, you understand, is an opportunity. Opportunity. So I'll leave it there. Leave it there. But practice saying yes. Practice saying yes. Your mind telling you no, just take a second, breathe, and then say yes. Now, people that are asking for someone else to say yes, phrase the question which garners the answer, or rephrase. If you're the person asking someone, for example, if I'm a man in the mall and I'm about to ask someone out, excuse me, Miss Alicia, I've noticed that you're single. Will you go out with me? And she'll probably say no. No. Thank you. I appreciate you. But pass. Now, if I rephrase it and say, would you mind having dinner with me? You're about to say no. You almost you allow the person to walk into that no, and they feel comfortable saying no because that's what they wanted to say anyway. Their mind was conditioned, their body was conditioned, their body language, everything was conditioned already to say no. If you ask a question that demands a no, it makes it easier for them to actually think about what they're about to say, consider it, and then give a response. Because most people are just prepared to say no already. But would you mind doing the following? Well, that no's on the tip of their lips already, but if they think about it, they don't want to say no. So it's just something about a little nature, just knowing humans and what they tend to want to do. You can make predictions based off that. A couple more things. Last thing. One thing at a time is unrealistic. The ability, the privilege, the opportunity to do one thing in the military at a time is unrealistic. It's not impossible, but it's unrealistic. It doesn't happen often. And when it does, it doesn't last long. You're in the military. The reason why I never went to college, the reason why I never did a lot of things in my military career, up to this point at least, is because I wanted, and I still value the ability to do one thing at a time. I want to focus on one thing. I don't like multitasking. First of all, it doesn't seem to be possible. No matter what the data says or what the masses say, the majority say, you can't do two things at once. Not effectively and not with 100% effort. I can't do a live stream and cook dinner at the same time. Unless I'm doing a live stream on cooking. And even then, I probably want somebody else to hold the camera. Most of us come into military and they say, I just want to be able to focus on college and I don't want to have to work a full-time job. It's active duty. Go guard. Go reserve. But if you're active duty, you're going to have to multitask. People always ask, is there enough time in the day to work a full-time job and go to school? Yes. You have to prioritize. You have to plan. But I'm not one of those people that wants to. I don't want to have homework after I get done with long days of work. I don't want to. Now, there's an argument to be made, or you need to. This is good for you. This will benefit you in your career. Cool. But I'm not willing to. I'm not going to. I want to do one thing at a time. If I'm in college, I don't want to have to work, but I might have to. Luckily, now I have a military career to offer me a free education. It's not something I have to do now. I don't have to work full-time and go to school. I can go to school full-time and still get paid based off my benefits. But you see a lot of people who, they go out into the world, they don't do any research, they don't plan, and they say, I want to do this by itself only. And I'm like, well, unless you have benefits that are paying you to do that one thing only, you're in some type of ecosystem that pays you to do one thing only, you still have to feed yourself. Unless your parents are paying all your bills, they're feeding you, you got to multitask. And it's not multitasking, it's planning, it's prioritization. A lot of people come into the military and they're blindsided by this fact, especially when it comes to your everyday workload. I already have this due. I already have to do this. I'm like, well, you have to do this too. Plan your day around it. For me personally, I have an EPR due on Wednesday of next week. I found out yesterday. And I have an airman who has training that needs to be done by Tuesday. And he needs to be micromanaged. What do? Figure it out. Plan. Prioritize. Maybe take a 30-minute less lunch. Figure it out. But that's kind of the point, is that the higher you go up, the more you have to juggle. And a lot of people, they think about the 20-year career and I just want to get the retirement. Well, they don't think about how much extra stuff is going to be dumped on your plate every time you put on a stripe. Every time your signature changes, they're just going to adding more stuff. Wing commanders, we see how much money they make. Are you making 10 figures a month? 10K? 15K? I'm like, bruh, they live it. Our wing commander drives I think it's an S550 Mercedes. I'm like, bruh, you living. But think about the responsibilities that come with that position. How many people are under him? Oh, the entire base. Got you. Somebody dies. He's answering for that. Somebody gets a DUI, he's answering for that. From the public, from the mayor, from the news, taxpayers. As you grow in your military career, you're going to notice how more and more things that don't make sense, mind you, things that are inefficient in nature, they're going to get piled upon your plate. And you're not prepared for it. You're like, why do I have extra stuff? Just more. I don't have time for all this. You gave me a slow computer, a slow connection, and paper, and you said you need the stuff by the end of the day. I'm not equipped. You haven't given me the proper resources, the appropriate opportunity, the appropriate resources to complete the task given to me. And they say, well, figure it out. That's what you're signing up for when you join the military. I've personally had enough of it, which is why I'm finding the nearest exit. But that's what you're signing up for. The military is not meant to be efficient. The military is not an efficient environment, especially if you work in support. If you fly F-22, you're going to notice you got the best hardware in the world. If you're the pilot of F-22, you got the best airframe in the world when it comes to dogfighting. Air-to-air combat for those of you uninitiated. But the rest of us, working on Dells, HP laptops with 2 gigs of RAM, i3s, i5s. We got 10 Excel sheets open. Chrome is just eating up all the RAM we got. And then tomorrow, now I've got to open up Access Online. I got to get into Dames and FM Suite. And I need all of them open. I need the ODL open over here. And I need the stats of funds right here. And I got my email open. You try to open Adobe Acrobat and it's just loading for the last 20 minutes. And then you get a link and you're like, I can't open this link because it's got 10 tabs open already in Google Chrome. But this application doesn't work in Google Chrome, so I got to open Internet Explorer. It doesn't work in that, so I got to open up Edge. That's the system you're signing up for. I'm on a MacBook Pro from 2012, and it works like a charm. I upgraded the RAM, put an SSD in it. Not an issue. This is my travel laptop. In the military, we had a trivia event yesterday. Just trivia with a religious affairs technician from the chapel. He came over and when we got done, he took a picture. He said he handed me his phone. He said, "You take a picture of us." Cool. He handed me an iPhone 8. I think it was iPhone 7. And I said, "Sir, what is this? Is this an antique? Where did you get this from? I didn't know these still existed. Why are you handing me an iPhone 7 to take a group picture with? You don't have a wide angle camera on this thing. I can't fit everybody in it. What are you doing with the iPhone 7, sir? Government phones. No. That's the environment you're signing up for when you enter the military environment. They don't care about you being efficient. They want you to be effective. That's it. They want an end result. You reach a point in the military where you're like, I'm tired of working on 2 gigs of RAM. I can't do it. I can't open my email for the first 30 minutes of my day and I just leave and come back and it's still doing it. It's still buffering something. I can't update my applications. I can't install applications. I can't delete applications. I have to count manually money out. That's those things you can't know about until you join, but I'm warning you now. Now, the title of this video, or at least the intent of this video, was to talk about a lot of the mistakes I've made in my career leading up to this current point that I'm at right now. All those things kind of tie into wisdom. Not really having foreknowledge, but having warnings, listening to those who are further ahead of you in the process. Getting a mentor early is vital. It's vital, especially for those who want to do 20 years in the military. You notice that people like myself who try to do everything by themselves, they burn out. I'm not even halfway through my career in the military. If I were to do 20, I'm not even halfway through. I'm at 5 years. And I'm already struggling. I got 15 years left. So it's vital that you have a lot of these things worked out in the beginning, such as your fitness, having a plan, having a routine, something that you can do endlessly, a sleep routine that you can do the rest of your life. Getting up at the same time is amazing. But you probably should go to bed at the same time too. I was going to bed at 11 o'clock, getting up at 2:30 every day. Going to bed at midnight, getting up at 2:30 every day. I was getting up at the same time, but I was going to bed whenever I felt like it. Well, let me just get this last Netflix episode in. Let me get this last little thing in. You realize it comes back to get you later. Not investing in relationships throughout your career, you realize I met how many people at Andrews, and how many people do I still talk to? Not that I should talk to everyone, but how many people still play a vital role in my life? That's not a crazy mistake I've made, but there probably could be more people that I met and networked with, when I was in such a powerful city such as DC. I still got a lot of friends in DC. I was there for 4 years, but I probably could have did a better job. Again, benefit of hindsight. But for those of you who are coming behind me, you have an opportunity to see these things coming far off and realize, all right, I'm going to basic training. What should I be doing? Investing in relationships. I'm going to tech school. What should I be doing? Fitness. Keep my fitness on 10. Lifestyle eating. Invest in relationship. Saying yes. Putting effort into being liked. Not so much respected. Not setting all these boundaries constantly. Boundaries are necessary. Boundaries are necessary. But the constant need for people to just, hey, stay back. Respect me. It's too much. It's too much. There's going to be a day where you're going to need something. And if you can't ask for help, you're going to drown. It's reality. It's reality. So I hope you guys kind of got the intent of my hour and 7-minute monologue. But it's vital that a lot of these things will never be taught to you. A lot of these things I just mentioned, being proactive with your mental health, you will hear so much talk of it. Almost no action. It's not something that is laid out for you in terms of, I know you're in basic training, but maybe you should read a book on how your body handles cortisol and how your sleeping affects cortisol levels and how what you eat affects your hormones. It's not just calories, it's hormone activators and how this affects this, which affects this, which affects this. You probably should focus a ton of energy on that right there because of what it affects. You probably never learned that stuff. But I'm telling you, after 5 years in, I'm making mistakes. I'm telling you, sugar is not your friend. Overly indulging in caffeine just to overcome the fact that you're not sleeping, you're not prioritizing sleep. Having a career and focusing on video games and fun and trips. You're all doing all this stuff by yourself instead of a conversation, a relationship, getting to know someone, their family, their history, sharing your problems, sharing your victories, having a drink occasionally, like going out and doing things with other people, going to squadron events. You're gonna notice how all this stuff adds up one day, and you gotta pay the cost. My mental health, in terms of the issues I'm dealing right now, I'm not sure that it could have been avoided. I don't know. But what I do know is that I can replay the tape and say, what if I did that better? How would that affect this right here? You just play with the equations, and occasionally you might get a positive number. You're like, oh, I would have came out on top in this area if I would have slept 7 hours instead of 3 for the past 3 or 4 years. How would my mental health be right now? If I would have spent more time with my personnel friends, I probably would have found out how to do a proper follow-on wish list. Like, the question would have came up at some point. But if I would have invested more time in people instead of, I want to go vlog by myself in Florida or Miami or whatever, I could have did that with other people. I chose not to. So it's about understanding how your decisions, they have consequences. You're not a victim of circumstance. Fate is another word that I should make a whole video of words I just hate. Fate's one of them. It leaves everything to chance, to the wind. Whatever happens, happens. If it's for me, it's for me. Things happen for a reason. Everyone's different. Every situation, they're not arguments. They're vague, obvious tropes and stereotypes and vague belief systems. They don't get you anywhere. You wake up one day, you don't know how you got there because you believe something just happens to you and you have no control of it whatsoever. If I say the wrong thing on YouTube, I can predict channel strikes. It's called wisdom. If I do certain things in life, I can make predictions. wide receiver on the Raiders. What's his name? Henry Ruggs or something. DUI, driving 157 miles an hour, killed someone. You immediately learn how I can look across the street, across the world, and say, avoid that. Avoid that. There's an over obsession of alcohol, glorification in the military, of that people can't have fun unless they're just out of their mind. I watched the other day, I think it was the morning of class at tech school at Keesler. The Marines made a video on sexual assault, and they had three or four people that were in the brig, which is just a military prison. Imagine basic training mixed with prison. It's a horrible combination. But they were telling the stories about how the common denominator between all their assault convictions was alcohol. Not that alcohol is the causal factor, but it's a direct correlation. Again, most people confuse correlation and causation. They think just if something directly correlates, then it's the reason why it happened. No. But it's a huge factor in the fact that a lot of things can be avoided if you're in your right mind, if you're in your right headspace. Certain environments have different rules as it relates to certain variables such as alcohol. And most people will find out after they do the wrong thing and realize, yeah, I probably shouldn't have did that. And again, none of us are perfect. I'm the last person to point the finger and say, well, if Ruggs would have did this and if he would just been the right person and pursued wisdom and studied all this stuff, maybe he didn't have a mentor in his life. Maybe being 18, 19, 20, 21, however old he wasn't old. He was fresh out of Alabama. I believe he was a lottery pick. I think first pick in the draft. A lot of these people, they grow up so quickly and they just hand all this money and they say, go play more sports and just have fun. Pleasure. Fun. Have fun. Go do it. And they wake up one day in their current predicament. Someone's dead and their life, their career is ruined. In a matter of seconds, minutes. I stand here grateful, because again, it's really easy to compare yourself to other people and say, I wish I was further along in this area. I wish I didn't have mental health issues. I wish I didn't have this. But one benefit of wisdom, one benefit of having your right mind, even though you might be struggling, is that you can see other people who are in way worse, but objectively worse positions than you are. I don't have criminal charges. I didn't kill anyone. I'm watching the Rittenhouse trial. It's unfortunate, but you kind of see how one decision leads to another decision, which leads to another decision. I would rather be here right now on a live stream on a Saturday by myself in the house with 2 dogs talking about philosophical ideals than be in a jail cell with a ton of people, with millions of dollars in the bank that I can't spend. There will be, and this is the last thing I'll say before I get to the chat. By the way, if you have any questions, throw in the super chat. I'll try to prioritize it because I know there's quite a few of you who've asked something. The FOMO, acronym or whatever, the constant need to be doing something fun and ambitious and on 10 and just turning up, if you will. Those things come back to bite you at some point. Not all of them, but they tend to. In most cases, it's a trend for a reason. Constant talk of normalizing things. If it needs to be normalized, it's probably a preference. Also, it's probably not normal. Because normal things don't need to be normalized. The constant need to be on top of the mountain is not normal. People come to the military and they see a certain way of living from people that have been in there longer than them. And they say, I need to be like that in order to be successful in this environment. And it's a trap. It's a trap. There's a culture of getting married quickly just to do it, just to get out the dorms, just to make more money. It's a trap. The trap of consuming alcohol simply because it's there. It's ridiculous. You can walk into the BX and there's more than half of the BX will be covered in just alcohol products. For what? Cigarettes. Just, they need their own section. You understand? Sugar, chips, and just the alcohol in the freezers, and you got the sodas, and you try to find the hippie drinks with the 0 calories and the 0 sugar, and it's a culture that the military has developed in. We're going to put Band-Aids on our our struggles. Don't get me wrong, military does a lot of things right. But the areas that they do wrong, that affect human lives, it seems to be amazing, outstanding in nature. Where it's glorified in some ways. Osan, going overseas, certain overseas bases, the main thing you hear about those places is how much they drink. Turning up. Oh, when I was in Korea, we was doing all manner of. Again, I'm not the person talking down saying, "Oh, I'm this perfect person," because trust me, I got some stuff up there. I got some truly. Alcohol is necessary in certain cases. You understand. It helps me sleep, and it's a natural sedative. All these various factors that we might take advantage of. But you get the point. You get the point. Coming into the military, there's going to be so many traps, and no one's going to warn you. And some people are going to walk right into it. Some people don't read the regulations, and they find out later, oh, I didn't know that was a UCMJ violation. I didn't know that the front part of the gate is considered the base. So if I can't drive on base, I can't drive up to the gate. I didn't know. I didn't know that if we're both drinking, it's basically whoever reports the other person first is the victim, and the other person's. I didn't know. There's even the case where some people will be briefed and will be told information, didn't pay attention, didn't listen, didn't digest it, didn't ask questions, and then they walk into the trap. It happens every single day. I make it a point to go read the Air Force docket, the JA docket of people being court-martialed. Not to point fingers but to realize, first of all, I'm grateful that my boring life and just me and my girlfriend, just being happy with, I don't need to be rich. I don't need to have the fastest car on the block. I want peace. I'm finally at a place where I don't need every option in the book. I've made countless videos on, I just need options. I want options. I want the ability to choose all the options. And from a place where I currently sit dealing with anxiety, I don't need every option. Sometimes having just 2 options is perfect. A mature salesman, a person who makes their living off of commission, they know if you're making, you're trying to sell someone on a product or a service, you don't give them 5 options, 5 plans. You give them 2, maybe 3. So we have our gold and our silver and our platinum plan. Which would you like? Apple, they give you 2 trims. You get the M1 Max, or you get the M1 Pro, or you get the M1, or the iPhone, or the iPhone 12 mini. Bad example. Apple is. I should make a whole video on Apple. Apple disgusts me, you understand? But I low-key want the iPhone. I low-key want it. I low-key want the iPhone. But in rant, I've been talking for a minute. Just be aware of a lot of the traps that are laid out for you. Yeah. It's about 7 or 8 things that give you a head start on most people. So hope that helped. Let's see who in the chat. Let's see who we got down here. Ernesto's out here living his best life. Ernesto says, God, we need more people like yourself in positions of power. The world will be a better place. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. The thing about perception is that we tend to be misled by what we think we see and what we think we perceive about someone. I appreciate the perception. I appreciate that because, again, power doesn't belong in everybody's hand. Don't give me power. Trust me. Do not give me power because things will change and I will benefit. But a lot of the content I put out is a result of wisdom, not so much the result of making the right decisions. Because there's some things I know to do, and there's certain things that I choose to do. They don't always match. So, but again, I'm grateful. I appreciate it. Prescotti asks, is it hard for you to balance a fit lifestyle being in the Air Force since it's not a demand for it? That is a very good question. That's a very good question. To answer directly, I would say yes. To answer your question directly, I would say yes. As you know, and as most people know, especially the other branches. The Air Force is not known for our fitness and our physical attributes. We're known for our mental and our cerebral attributes. We're paid for our minds in most cases rather than our bodies. You have certain career fields, certain AFSCs, where all their main job is to train all day physically. They come to work, special, like you have their special tactics units, which are pretty much special forces adjacent, where they come into work and they train. They might have some CBTs, but they're physically training. And then they have some briefings, then they deploy and they come back, or they go TDY and come back, and they go out, do exercises, and they come back, and then they train. Security forces, they're probably on their feet most of the time. But at no point do you see personnelists out there ruck marching, crawling through mud, and you don't see it. We're not paid for that. So there is a correlation between, if, let's say, overnight, regulations came out and said, all right, effective immediately, all airmen are required to do a minimum of 5 pull-ups for women, 10 pull-ups for men. You'll be trained on this every single day. It's part of your PT test. Everyone's officially, and for the foreseeable future, everyone's a rifleman first. Whatever your AFSC is, that's secondary. Primarily, everyone's a rifleman first. You will see how the military environment, especially the personnel that abide therein, we will suddenly shift to physical training and prioritizing that. And are we going for a 3-mile run this morning? I'm like, for what? For what? They're like, nah, get out there. We're going 3 miles. And then we're going to go another 5 miles. Then we go ruck march. And we go climb this mountain. And we're going to go lay in the mud. And because that's what the Marines do, because their job is to do that in most cases. And then they might have secondary responsibilities. You see a lot of Army units like 11 Bravo infantry. Their job is infantry, boots on the ground. They go to the field and they train. They sleep out there. There's no hot showers, no air conditioning tents like the Air Force, because we have different missions, we have different jobs, different responsibilities. So that's a very good question. It's not to give an excuse to people like myself who let their fitness go completely, because I'm not weak. I'm just heavy. I'm just heavy. Just gain more weight. And of course, it's inevitable when you consume sugar and fructose the way I do. But yeah, there's a direct correlation between the environment you're in and the responsibilities of that environment, and then, of course, how you adapt therein. So very good question, though. Okay, we just got somebody just got the cannon. Say what's good. See a lot of people in the chat. I'm gonna skip over a lot of the greetings. If you want your question addressed, please throw in a super chat. Not only will you help support the channel, but also get you prioritized in terms of the pecking order. Appreciate everyone. I'm planning on starting a lot of Patreon content that is more so not YouTube safe, if you will, or not. It'll be Patreon appropriate, you understand? It'll be Patreon appropriate. Also, you have the opportunity, if you want to join the channel, become a member of the channel. That's another way you support the channel if you would like. All the links are in the description. So yeah, if you're interested. What else we got? Appreciate everybody that supports, especially those who are not in the military. People that just watch, for whatever reason. I'm grateful. Thank you. What's up, JP? Soul Shader, I see you. Let's see where the questions are at. See Soul Shader down here, heavy. You got a podcast, Soul Shader? Check that out. Here's an interesting comment. You were so right to pursue right relationships with different people. Reason I failed in the Army. I took that I think it was 2 ways when I read that initially. One way I took that was that you could be around the wrong people and affect your career negatively, or not being around the right people can also impact your career negatively. So you lose twice. Being around the wrong people can negatively impact your career, and not being around the right people can negatively impact your career, which means if you spend too much time alone when you should be networking, when you should be pursuing a relationship, asking questions, pursuing other people and their interests and their knowledge and their experiences, that can also negatively hurt you. So you don't always need to be avoiding bad people, but not pursuing the right people as well, which requires wisdom, which requires a goal. If you have a goal, you know which mentors you need. If you have a goal, you know what questions to ask. So a lot of times people are so stagnant and they're so caught up in their current position that they don't ask questions to pursue who's around them. I constantly talk about in basic training, you're surrounded by people going through the same experience you're going through. And people will sit there and struggle by themselves. Again, I was that person. I will be in basic training surrounded by 50 other men, grown adults, who are struggling like I was struggling. Maybe not equivalent amounts, but in the same circumstances, same environment, same bed, same lockers, same room, same MTIs. And I would sit there and struggle by myself and just, I got this, bro. I got this. I don't need no help. I don't need to talk to nobody. I don't need to talk and get it out, get my thoughts out, listen to other people's thoughts. Try to do it alone. And I suffered by it. So 100% correct. Being around the wrong people and not being around the right people, equally bad. Now, I won't say equally, but tend to be both detrimental to where you're trying to go. Great point. Great point, Sophie. That's a good point by Soul Shader. Getting a friend that's extrovert, if you're an introvert, that will help you grow to find good people easier. That's a good point. Let's try to scroll down to the bottom, see if we got any questions. If not, we'll call it a day. Because I pretty much ranted for a good amount. I feel good. I feel better. WonderPet asks, not to hijack the conversation, but I have a question. My recruiter said I only have to drop the weight initially to get in, but after that, it's just focusing on PT scores, thinking about juicing fast. That is typically what happens in the military. Is the work that we put in to join the military is almost never the same work we put in to stay in the military or to sustain what we gained by what we did to join. If that makes sense. Most people work their butt off, lose countless amount of weight, like I did. Get down to 200. I was down to 200. I think at one point I was 198. My cap was 202. I joined it. I think 198. Obviously, it was a lot of water weight I lost just to be under that ceiling. But then you join and you get comfortable. You graduate basic training, eat whatever you want because you're marching it all off. You're doing PT every other day, as far as running, and you're doing, physical strength, workouts, what have you. So you're gaining and losing fat and what have you. And then you get to tech school and it's a little bit less training. It's a little bit less marching. It might be around the same, but you have the option to drive a car, after hours, what have you. The food that you can go to BX and stock your room full of snacks and what have you. The DFAC is generous at Keesler. You go in there and break bread heavily. And you start seeing how the weight just seems to find its way back. It just finds its way back. And, a couple months later, you might graduate still around the same weight you joined at. But then you get operational. You stop marching completely. Completely. And you realize you're not doing as much walking and movement and cardio as you used to in the last, several months. And the weight finds you. I'm telling you, it sneaks up on you. And then you deploy and say, I'm going to deploy to Abu Dhabi in 2018 and I'm going to come back shredded, you understand? And you come back 30 pounds heavier because you emotionally ate the entire time you're there. You go to Alaska and you put on probably another 20 pounds because you're emotionally eating. That's my story. That's my story. It's more popular than you think. If you look around the NCO tier, you see a problem. There's a problem around the NCO tier that almost no one talks about because NCOs they're busy. NCOs are just so busy that no one takes the time to actually, why is it that NCOs appear to be the heaviest demographic in the military? Not all of them, but enough of them. I'm like, what's missing? I don't know the answer. I know mine, not physically excused in terms of like my physical fitness. It's not an excuse, but my mental health is a variable. It's a variable. Because I'm not one to take accountability off myself and say, did you need to eat that muffin so you can have your mental sanity? No, no. It's a choice to eat the muffin, and the muffin was amazing. You understand? So, if you open your eyes and you start looking around, you notice there's a certain demographic in the military that has lost momentum. And if you have proper mentorship, you have proper leadership, they can kind of help you through that middle period and get to the tech sergeant, get to the master sergeant. But it tends to be a long span of drought, if you will. And it's where I'm currently at. It's where I'm currently at. But of course, I have resources around me, and so I use them as I can and as I will. But sometimes you need someone to help pull you out the ditch. Sometimes you just need a little bit of help. So that's a very good point. That a lot of people get caught up in, when they're in a system where they have to succeed, they do. When they're in a system where all the decisions are made for them, PTs at this time every day, we're going to run and we're going to do this many push-ups, and you just adapt. But then when you get to an environment where discipline is required, such as being operational for the first time, and you realize I have to make all these choices daily. You have to set your own schedule and your own routine. Then you realize, well, I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do it today. And how many decisions like that, they add up. They add up. So something to be aware of, but that's a very good point. David Diaz asks, what do you see yourself doing after the military? Is it your goal still not to work a traditional career or 9 to 5 like you would speak about in your early videos? That's why I took it down a lot of my early videos, because a lot of those videos were misguided. A lot of those videos were a result of motivation, temporary emotion. A lot of those videos were immature in nature in terms of how they relate to the real world. A lot of those videos were purely motivational, aspirational, but had no grounding in how life really is and how life can take a turn on you. And right now you feel good, and right now you have energy, and right now you're fit, and right now you're healthy, and right now your mental space is clear. Just a short 5 years later, everything can be different. Everything can be different. Certain things you will have to do anyway. Working, something I have to do. Working where I desire to work versus where I need to work versus stepping stone jobs. Everything in between. Everything in between. I'm not sure exactly what I do. I do have an idea of what direction I'll start in. But in regards to specifics, I don't. And it's kind of healthy for me to be in that space. Not that I won't plan at all, because I definitely will be planning. But as it relates to having specifics, you don't always get those. You don't always get specific. You don't always get assurances as far as, I'm going to leave the military, I'm going to transition directly to this job, work there for 3 years, then I'm going to go to this job, get this degree, and then I'll end up here in 15 years, retire in 20, and retire at this state or this ocean front, and I put a down payment that on this date. Doesn't work like that way. Doesn't work out that way. You can meet one person and derail all your plans. You can fall in love and derail all your plans. You can make one mistake and it derail all your plans. So, a lot of my old videos were misguided. My intent was pure, but the information was wrong. And so that's where I find myself going back and kind of looking through those videos and make sure that the people that are viewing those videos are not being misguided, because I don't want them making the same mistakes I made because they believe something I said. So great point. Great point. I see the super chat. We'll get that in a second. Appreciate you. Nathaniel says, going through a 2-year tech school. Any tips on motivation? Good Lord, Nathaniel. The hell career field you got? Bro, you a Battlefield, bro? Yeah, that sounds like Battlefield or linguist. 2-year tech school? I won't give you any advice on motivation. Zero. You don't need motivation for a 2-year. Your motivation is gonna burn out by then. What I will give you is something I wish I had, and I won't say I didn't have it completely. Consistency should be your focus. Relationships. I talked about it earlier. I don't have any motivational advice to give you as far as you're going to make it and the troops and tech school and the environment and serve and the country needs you and Uncle Sam and taxpayer dollars. No, that stuff's you're gonna hear all of it. You're gonna and then it's too much. It's not what you need. What you need is people. The way I survived every phase of my military career and any time before I joined the military was having people to help me. People. Did you know that you cannot join the military without people? The recruiter is necessary with zero exceptions to join the military. You need a recruiter. You need that person. You need doctors. You may not be sick, but you're gonna need a doctor to say, hey, he's not sick, let him join. You're gonna need people. A 2-year tech school, you won't survive without the people next to you. Your leadership, your guidance. I will tell you that a lot of times when I was in tech school and even basic training, I was reflecting on the voices of those who helped me get where I was, such as motivational speakers, Eric Thomas, David Goggins, Elon Musk. Like some of these voices that you listen to, they may help you get through certain moments where like you're just digging deep and I need to hear a certain voice in my head. What would they do? What would Gary Vee say about this? And then you take it to heart and you harness that in that moment. But over a 2-year span, you're going to have so many ups and downs. Your life's going to change multiple times. Your view of the world is going to change multiple times in a 2-year span. What you're going to need is the person next to you and the willingness to ask them for help, to talk to them, to just simply vent, to listen to them vent. If we do, I'm telling y'all, everything I love, the lowest moments of my military career and my life in general, it's always been a person that has helped me, a human, not a dog, not a teddy bear, candy, alcohol. It's been a person that's helped me. And the quicker you realize that, especially going through a 2-year tech school, you're going to need your classmates, you're going to need the people next to you to help you. And they're going to need you. It's going to work both. It's going to be hand in hand. So that's the best advice I can give for an especially long tech school, is that motivation is fleeting. It's going to come and go. It's going to spike your emotions. You're going to feel up on 10 and motivated, and the best speech in the world is going to have you just ready to serve your country. And then at some point, it's going to wear off. Kind of like showers. You're going to feel amazing in the morning, but come 3, 4 o'clock, I need another shower. It's going to wear off. So, yeah, motivation is not something you should focus on entirely. But pursuing relationships, you'll realize that it's the key to all your success is a people or a group of persons. So, hope that helps. Latvia in the house. That's dope. We all the way in Latvia talking to the people. We're talking to the people. I think 4C is mental health, right? McKelvey, is that mental health? I'm going to take this comment and turn it into a question. Richardson asks, it's hard to find a mentor in tech school, though. I would disagree. So when I say mentor, I'm not talking about a Gary Vee, Eric Thomas, Grant Cardone, David Goggins. I'm not talking about these major, Joe Rogan names. I'm not talking about finding the biggest YouTuber you can find and let that person be your mentor. I'm saying find a person who's either currently at where you want to be or has already been where you're trying to go, which means it might just be somebody who is about to graduate or already graduate or just maybe 1 or 2, 3 blocks ahead of you, and ask them, what should I prioritize? What should I avoid? What mistakes did you make? Anyone that you can ask a question to in regards to a given experience or a mistake or a pitfall, tripwire, that's mentorship. Reading a book is mentorship. Watching the news is mentorship. Most people think of a mentor and they think, I need a billionaire recluse that lives in a library and that eats the pages after he reads the page. And he drinks scotch all day and he's balding, but yet he's 2% body fat. It's too much. Mentorship is simply learning from someone else's experiences, avoiding the pain, and moving on. Avoid the pain. Not all pain is necessary. Some people think I got to get a DUI to learn the dangers of alcohol. No, you can watch the news and say, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't seem helpful. It looks like it hurts. So yeah, there's mentors everywhere, literally. Every person that walks past you within 2 feet that's breathing, that understands English, sign language, body language, that's a mentor. Which means the only way to get to that knowledge, those experiences, is to ask a question. And by asking questions, you ask follow-up questions. And by asking follow-up questions, you ask more follow-up questions. And then you'll realize this person's telling me the mistakes they made in 6th grade and how it directly correlates to seniorship, and then how they went to college and they made this mistake, and then they went here and made this mistake, but then they excelled over here because of this and this person they met. You ask questions, you get information. The quickest way to an answer is a question. And most people, again, that first initial barrier, that first step of just simply, yo, how'd you do that? You got to answer already. But most people, again, by defining mentor at such a high level, people think there's no mentors around me. No, the person next to you is a mentor in some area, one or another. I'm the last person that should be giving financial advice, but I will give wisdom advice. This is the right thing to do. This is what I did. This is the mistakes I made. This is where I'm at now in relation to my goal. I'm not mentoring people and things I'm not excelling at. But I can tell people the mistakes I've made in relation to what I've learned along the way. That's what I do on this channel. Is I'm not here to preach to people, this is how you become 2% body fat. I've never been nowhere near 5, nowhere near 7. I probably touched on 10% body fat. But yeah, telling people about your mistakes is just as valuable as telling people your successes. But I would argue the mistakes is a little bit more valuable, mainly because one mistake, it only takes one usually to derail many different things. Your reputation can be gone, your career advances can be gone, your life can be gone because of one mistake. So yeah, there's mentors everywhere. What else we got? Skip down. We got a retired Matt Chief in the chat. Say what's good. What's that? Let's see. I'm curious. Everybody throw in the chat where you're from. Spam the chat real quick. Let's see where everybody's hailing from. This is interesting. I look happy today. I'm not sure. I'm content today. I'll say that. I feel calm. I feel content. Live streams are something I enjoy doing, so I try to bring that energy, but it's also organic because I'm not acting anything normally I would normally be acting. That sentence was gravy, but anyway. I see you, Soul Shader. Keep working. Grind. Be consistent. That's all that matters. Soul Shader asks, have you ever had bad moments with women while in the military? How do you navigate through that? I would say just as equally as I've had bad moments with men. My biggest issue in the military so far, in terms of headlines, is personalities. Personalities tend to, if there were a spectrum of personalities, I feel like mine is one of the extremes. I would say mine's way over here in terms of acquired taste, dark humor, sarcasm, which I feel like a lot of people fit into that category. And then the other side would be just happy people, or rude people, or ignorant people, stupid people, foolish people. And like, at some point, you're going to clash, and you're going to be in the same environment, and you're going to have to work together. That's been my biggest issue, probably, is dealing with other personalities that just are directly opposing to mine. And not to say that mine's right, it's just theirs is different, and mine's different. So, like, crossing those barriers and understanding, all right, this person is different than me, they're not going to change, they can't change, they probably don't know to change, they have no insight in terms of wisdom, and I'm the bigger person, I got to make up the space, and I hate them, but I have to work with them 12 hours, 8 hours a day, whatever. You got to figure it out. But yeah, that's probably been my biggest mountain to climb, is dealing with personalities and having to overcome that, especially when you can't go anywhere. Like we work together. We work in the same office. I got to see you every day. What do you do? Well, you got to work with them. You got to figure it out. So, yeah, it's more prevalent than you think. Soul Shader also asks, I think I skipped one. Miranda Dixon asks, any advice on cohabitating? Are you referring to dating for marriage? Is that what you mean? I'm gonna stand by that question and hopefully, respond in the chat what you mean by that, and then we can shed light on that hopefully. But yeah, we'll come back to that just so you can expound on what you mean. Soul Shader, what do you do if you're not a party person and hate parties but still like to socialize? That's a good question. Sometimes you have to create a new lane. Most people are bored, is the argument I will present to you. I feel like most people are bored in most cases, and most people just want something to excite them or to bring them out of their comfort zone. Parties, first of all, it's kind of vague, but I know what you mean in terms of probably any setting that has alcohol is considered a party. I'm not a party person myself. I despise the idea of large groups of people turning their minds off with alcohol. I turn my mind off with alcohol, but I like to be alone or with one other person, max, when I do so. That's it. So sometimes you have to create a party. Sometimes the bulk of people are all going in one direction, and you have to be that one person that says, all right, I'm going to go this other direction, but there's probably going to be one or two people that also want to go, but I have to stick my neck out first and let other people know there's more than one option. Sometimes simply asking. So, perfect example. Let's say you go to a networking event, and this is something I've personally done. I go to, it wasn't a networking event, it was like a young adult scene, party-ish. It was a Christian adult event. So it was good music, it was some games, it was like a game night equivalent. But music was playing, there was DJ, and then people started dancing. I don't dance unless I'm on a basketball court. I start giving people work, you understand? But it's not my scene. People start dancing, a huge group of people, and people in the middle dancing. And I'm like, beautiful, encore, amazing, outstanding, beautiful proceedings. I'm a person that usually goes to like a party and sits in a corner and debates people. Most people try to debate me actually, but that's my speed. Sometimes going to the party just for the sake of going is winning the battle. And then you find the person that's also doing the same thing you're doing, and you connect with them over in the corner talking about what you want to talk about. Finding a different purpose in the same environment can be conducive to solving the same problem that you're dealing with by yourself. Is that if you need to socialize, you have to go where the people are. And they may be having a party, doesn't mean you need to go do the same exact thing. Sometimes you have to just go to the environment and find someone similar to yourself, or find someone who's different. Get out of your comfort zone temporarily with wisdom and try something different. Partying, again, it's not something that you'll see me heavily indulge in, but you will see me say yes in certain moments of, all right, I need to just say yes to this. It will be good for me to simply just say yes to this because I know I've been saying no for a good minute. I need to say yes to something. But yeah, in the most general sense, you can create your own events. You don't need to go participate in other people's events to socialize. Sometimes people are lonely, kind of like the introvert analogy I used earlier. Introverts are always looking for more introverts and other introverts, but they're in their bed looking for them. I'm like, you're not going to find them. Introverts need to go out to find other introverts. That's the only way you're going to find each other. Unless you're online in the introverts group chat, you have to go outside of your comfort zone to go find other introverts. And sometimes by being that introvert that goes out, or the person that's just not a partier and goes out and exposes themselves to the world, that gives you the opportunity, bare minimal opportunity, to meet someone like yourself. Because you're probably going to notice they're going to have the same tendencies as you. So back to the adult event I went to, the Christian event I went to in DC. One exercise I have is looking around the room, using my spidey sense or my discernment, my mind, and find the person that looks uncomfortable. You scan the room. Everybody turning up, everybody in groups of 2 or 3, 4 talking. People that know each other, people just met, people that are great at networking. Type A personalities going off. Class clowns over in the corner doing their thing. People dancing for no reason. Music's on over here. Cool. I'm in there scanning the room like a weirdo, just in the corner, holding my little drink, babysitting. But one exercise I have is I scan the room and I find the person who's like me. Someone who's pretending to be on the phone, someone who's scrolling endlessly, probably on Twitter or something an app that they put. When I'm bored, I go to Twitter because I probably already ran through Instagram. Instagram already told me you're out of content. There's nothing else. Facebook, you keep refreshing. There's nothing else there. Turn it off. Snapchat, you've seen everything. Turn it off. Now I go to Twitter and it's just endless. You just swipe. But scan the room, find the person who's like you, and go talk to them. They're going to be so happy. I promise you, introverts are so happy when they want someone to come talk to them, but they don't want to have to be the person that goes to approach someone else. 2 introverts in the same room, go talk to each other. You'll be able to pick them out easily. But that's a starting point of, if you can't find a different environment to go to that is more necessary for a person like yourself, go to a party, go to an environment where the people are at, and scan the room for people that are similar to yourself. And go engage. Go engage. That's a great starting point for simply being a part of environments that you're not comfortable in. Because again, to be an introvert, you have to have contrast. To be an extrovert, you have contrast. To be to enjoy your alone time, you have to have contrast, so you can appreciate your alone time. If you're always by yourself, you're not enjoying your alone time. You're just alone. It's a subtraction issue. It's just a math problem. There's no other people here. Therefore, technically, you're by yourself. You're alone. But beyond that, if you have contrast, you're able to go to a party. You may not enjoy the scene, but at least you went. So then you can leave eventually and go back to your comfort zone and say, I now appreciate this because of where I once was. It's contrast. Anyway, real question. I like this. Jay asks, what do you think about the quote, most men lead lives of quiet desperation? The first word that came to mind was passive. Being passive. The first word that came to mind was being passive. There's a book that I read that changed my life. No More Mr. Nice Guy. I will consider myself a recovering nice guy. My girlfriend loves to cook for me. I feel uncomfortable receiving that. I feel like it hurts her to cook for me when she enjoys it. She loves it. She loves doing for others. She's a giving person. Some would say astrology or buffs or nerds would say she was born to serve other people. She loves that. It's a part of her nature. I'm not used to having people that want to cook for me. But it's something I have to grow in. When I think about quiet desperation, I think of people that want something that aren't saying anything. I'm taking those words literally, like I tend to do. You go through life and you're just passive. That would be nice to have. That would be a dope experience. She looks nice. I'm going to talk to her. I'll just go home. All those things I just said describe me. In a lot of ways, I'm passive. In a lot of ways. I come on here and I talk loud and I talk fast and I talk. But in a lot of ways, I'm passive. Why? Because typically when I want something, I just go after it, and I live my life in a binary fashion. 0, 1. Off, on. Yes, no. Hell yes, no. Pass. So when I want something, I tend to just go get it. But in the cases where I want something but I don't want to pursue it, it turns into quiet desperation where I'm like, and it could result in anxiety, where you're just constantly obsessed and you're thinking about something, and your mind is consumed with it, but you never pursue it. You never try. You never go after it. In a lot of ways, you have a lot of men who are becoming and have been turned into grass-eating lions. I love that phrase. A lot of men in 2021 have been turned into grass-eating lions. We're just quietly in the corner saying nothing. We want things, we prefer things, we have preferences, we have standards. But yet we're not saying anything. And I'm saying we. Because cancel culture is quick to come get you. But that's where we live in. Quiet desperation has a expiration date. It has to. You start seeing 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 100, 300, 500, 700, 2,000, 100,000, million. People start speaking up slowly. At some point, you have to voice what you think. At some point, you have to pursue what you want. And this applies to both men and women. Women think that it's, taboo to approach a man and say, I'm interested in you for whatever reason. 99% of things you want, 99% of people you want, you will have to pursue. Very rarely do things happen to you that you want. It's rare. It's rare. Again, No More Mr. Nice Guy was a book that changed my life, changed my outlook on life. And I'm still in a recovering phase of voicing what I want, voicing what I prefer, voicing when something hurts me, voicing when something is inconvenient, and then having a discussion about it. Especially in relationship contexts where you have to account for too many variables at once. But one of those variables has to be what you want at the same time. So yeah, I'll leave that there. But yeah, quiet desperation could easily be described in so many different ways. But that's what comes to my mind immediately. It's just passive. I can't say the word. Oh my goodness. Being passive, people. That word's gonna piss me off now. Being passive. Stop being passive. Voice your opinion. Think about it before you say it, obviously, which I feel like that should be reiterated. Think about what you're about to say. Think about your opinion, your perspective, which is more or less valid. Consider the consequences of what you're about to say. Think, and then voice it. Voice your opinion. It matters. It's necessary. So I'll leave that there. Great question, though. One pet asks, from a daily workout, go to weight loss, how much running or walking, etc., to lose 50-ish pounds in a year at 260? I don't know. It's quite a specific question. I will say this, it takes a lot. And more than a lot, it takes consistent a lot. Super chat. Appreciate you, Shoal Shader. Appreciate you. Learn that writing to yourself as a hobby can help you find yourself and learn what you want out of life, challenging your own thoughts. That's a good point. Get these on paper. One of the major breakthroughs I had in regards to how I retain information, how I study, is typing my notes, which starts usually off by writing them and then retyping them to process them properly. So that's a great point. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the super chat. What else we got? What else we got down here? I'm trying to weed through all the comments and find the questions. Okay, this is where everybody from. California, I see you. Ramstein, okay, I see you. Crockett, Maryland, I see you. Korea, I see all y'all down here living. Appreciate y'all watching. That's pretty dope. California's in here. What else we got down here? All right. So, in regards to Miranda's question, what are my thoughts on cohabitation or living together with another individual before getting married? So the thing about marriage, and I made a video on this, in regards to the quickest way to kill the spark in a relationship is to move in with someone. The knowledge is going to spike in terms of the amount of information you have available to you after you move in with somebody. It's off the charts. You will know everything you want to know about them because you're just in their space. It's hard to hide things. It's hard to hide habits and addictions and quirks. It's just available. The information is all available. This person's a clean individual. They can only fake being clean for so long before their habits come out. Why do you put your clothes on the floor instead of the hamper? It's what they do. Um, the jury for me is still out on moving in with someone because I wouldn't mind personally doing it. But to recommend it to other people, I'm not sure I could or would do that. So it turns into a do as I say, not as I do situation. I don't think in and of itself it's harmful. But one question that I've heard a YouTuber mention in regards to what do you have available, or what do you have left to give to your future partner that you haven't already given to your current or previous partner? Not to say that your current relationship won't work out, but let's say you're single right now. What do you have left to give that you haven't given to anyone else that you're going to give to your future relationship? That's probably the best way to put it. What do you have currently in your possession to give to your future relationship, the one that you're supposed to be in, that you haven't given to everyone or to all your previous partners and that it didn't work out? Maybe that could be one of those things where I'm not going to move in with someone that I'm not engaged to or not married to. People constantly think I'm against marriage. I'm not. I'm against divorce. I'm anti-divorce. I don't want to get divorced. I don't plan on getting divorced ever. So, but yeah, you should save something for your future. You should save something to look forward to. Meaning, until I'm married or until I'm in a committed, vocalized, mutual relationship, I'm not going to jump all the way in the band. I'm not going to jump all the way in. It's just a thought process. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But yeah, cohabitation, it saves money. It has its advantages, has its disadvantages. You get to kind of test drive the car, if you will. You get to figure out things you like and dislike, and all right, well, I can't tolerate this person. They have a pet snake. That's unacceptable. I can't live with that. It's a 13-foot pipe. It doesn't even sleep in a cage. It just roams the house. I'm not okay with that. You get to find out those things before, So, yeah, it has its value, but I don't know if it's something I can recommend to everyone. But yeah, so something. I don't know. To answer directly, which is something I have to do. You understand? I have to answer your question directly. Should people cohabitate living with other people before they're married? No. I'll say no. Sometimes you can answer questions directly, people. It's valuable when you answer questions directly. Why, you ask? Why shouldn't you live with somebody before your marriage? Before you're married, rather. Probably for the same reason you shouldn't have kids before you're married. Probably the same reason why you shouldn't go to war before you go to basic training. A lot of people live in a position or a place of impatience where they see what they want and they say, I want to skip all these processes in order to get to what I want. They see the Netflix show where the seemingly happy couple are doing their thing and it's heavily scripted and edited and it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. The camera work is just director of photography. Amazing work. And they see the end result and they say, I want it tomorrow. All of that. I want it tomorrow. And they say, how can I get that? Well, I can move in with someone. And say, well, what about the courtship phase? What about, first of all, putting yourself out there to be available for dating? What about saying yes to the date? What about saying yes to the second date? What about saying yes to the third date? What about, friendship? What about getting to know someone? Asking questions, revealing your skeletons, revealing the negative things about yourself to the person you want a relationship with and give them a chance to say no. What about dating for a year? What about dating for 2 years? What about getting counseling? What about getting therapy for individuals or together? What about making sacrifices? The need to skip all these steps just to get to the end result and say, well, we could do all that, but we could just skip to what we actually want, which is I just want to move in and play house. That's what it sounds like in most cases when you see a lot of individuals. They skip all these steps and they say, I'll just get married tomorrow. Get me out the dorms. I want BH. I'm just going to skip all these steps and just go straight there. And then you see them hit the wall and you're like, what happened, Red? And you're like, well, you did skip half the process. You skipped most of the process to get to the desirable part, and then you couldn't keep it when you got there. That's what I hear when I hear cohabitation or shacking up or living with someone before you're married to them or barely into the relationship. You just, again, I spend a lot of time with my girlfriend, a lot of time. But moving in, you still need a certain amount of space that garners respect, a certain amount of space that garners discovery, dating. I'm still dating you even though we're in a relationship. I'm still dating you. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it just because it's skipping steps. Some people want to be 21 tomorrow. I'm like, you're 18. You're 18. You can't be 21 yet. So yeah, be 18 and then be 19 and then be 20 and then be 21. And then when you're 21, you can do all the things and the stuff. So hope that answered your question. What else we got? All right. Any last questions? Throw in the super chat. I'm about to log off. Closing thoughts. I'll say this. The military, it's a weird environment, you understand? It's a weird environment. It's artificial in nature. It's not real. The mistakes that you make are the consequences that they have timestamps. No, that they don't immediately expire the second you separate from the military or go guard or reserve. Because you leave a certain office, there might be lasting effects. The current position I'm in right now, dealing with mental health, I take it very seriously, mainly because it affects my everyday life, down to the moment. Peace. It's now something that visits occasionally, instead of being a continuous state of being. Realize that, especially in the military environment, it's best that you have a plan and direction. Not so much that you have everything figured out, but the list that I've alluded to are things that I've misprioritized. It's not so much that I didn't prioritize them, but they're in the wrong order. Who's to say that fitness comes before mental health proactivity? Who knows? Might be 1A, 1B. They might go together. Yoga might be a mixture of the two. Pilates, what have you. But number one and number two might be interchangeable. But to have mental health at number 9 and bodybuilding at number 1 might be wrong. Having your career at number 2 and having relationships at 10 might be wrong. It might be wrong. Wisdom. It has to be prioritized, which means it's not a direct answer. Wisdom is not a direct answer to every problem. It's a thought process. It's a series of steps that you go through and saying, all right, this is the end result I need for this situation. This is the end result I desire. How do I get there? Who do I need to talk to? What is my desired end result as it relates to relationships, both personal and professional? Do I want to be single at 40 years old? Or do I want to be a bachelor? Do I want to be just doing what I want, traveling and having fun? I'm not saying you're going to have answers to these questions, but you have to have questions regarding these end results. And of course, your answers are probably going to change throughout the pursuit. As you move in that direction, you might have different answers that say, all right, I need to reprioritize this. I'm now in a place where I'm reprioritizing my mental health and putting it at 1 or 2, top 3. Because you realize that it's way more important. It affects so much. Your mental health affects so much that if it's not in the top 3, it will be forced at top 3. Someone else is going to put it up there. I always talk about how you don't want to be command directed to mental health. That's a different experience than volunteering to go. I'm volunteering to go. But when you don't prioritize something that needs to be top 3, top 5, if you neglect it, it will force itself up there. And it's going to derail everything else. No matter how much I wanted to be a loadmaster and being a flying AFSC, because I didn't prioritize my mental health and prioritize sleep and prioritize a healthy lifestyle of eating and physical fitness and proper relationships, and everything was just in wrong order. I prioritized YouTube and content and going on trips and vacations. Things got out of whack, out of order. And now I'm forced to put mental health at number 1. I'm forced to put relationships at number 2. I'm forced to put career in the military at 7 or 8. So yeah, wisdom. Wisdom has to be a priority. Wisdom has to be a priority. Constantly evaluate the results of your efforts. Constantly ask questions. Find someone who's been where you're trying to go. Ask questions. Ask questions. So again, I appreciate the support on this channel. Links in the description if you want to donate to the channel. If you want to get a one-on-one consult, you want to talk, need a conversation, need somebody to objectively look at your life and say, hey, don't do that. Links are all in the description. I don't have social media anymore. I'm off all social medias except for YouTube for at least the foreseeable future. That may change one day, but as of right now, just doing YouTube. So if you want to reach me, YouTube description has all my information. But if you made it to this point in the video, 2 hours and 11 minutes later, I'm grateful. I appreciate you. But yeah, we will be in touch. Say what's good to your boy.